think the biggest challenges around commercial lighting just at the moment are the disruptive technology of LEDs. I think there are problems with initial cost and affordability to be sure that we get the real benefits that we need, and of course there are other challenges around energy efficiency.
Well, we are in this paradigm shift where we are moving from fluorescent to LEDs. And just 3 months ago, the lines crossed for the first time where you actually said that LEDs are now more efficient than fluorescent tubes. And that sort of made the real kick-off, because we've been talking about first movers who move into this on a very early stage, but now it's like case is closed. It's evident that now LEDs are more efficient than fluorescent. So the trend is really starting now.
Cost is probably the number one factor at the moment, but I think the attitude is changing, and we are now looking at life cycle costs, which is a bit more of a challenge when we have two separate parties involved. We have the development team and then the operational team, so we have a capital budget and a revenue budget.
We're still in a recession, so from our perspective, we're still looking to provide the most cost-effective schemes. I think some of the things we're seeing at the moment, particularly with LEDs, there has seemed to be a big push to adopt those at all costs, is they still cost a lot of money with a long payback period, which is sometimes difficult to justify in a business case.
Cost is always an issue because LED fixtures are more expensive. Even if the chips get cheaper, you need to build long-lasting fixtures. The gaskets, the wiring, the ballast, all the stuff inside the fixtures needs to last for just as long as the LED. So it'll probably never be as cheap as fluorescent used to be. But it's people who have a green profile, who don't want any mercury in their buildings, who have an environmental view on things that chooses these kind of fixtures.
Letting agents and saying, oh, it's an LED scheme, oh great, good, it's got LED lighting, tick.
I think the BREEAM performance certificate has certainly helped the market at the moment, because it's brought it much further up the agenda to the efficiency of the fixture, and that has got to be good for everybody. Saving energy is something that we here at Fagerhult are passionate about, and BREEAM helps us to raise that issue.
BREEAM has been very successful in bringing those issues onto the agenda, and I think it's been very successful in the fact that it manages not only energy but also management and quality. Unfortunately, it is by its nature a tick box type of system and suffers from all the limitations that system has.
Certainly with BREEAM, there's a lot more work that needs to be done to bring it up to date as far as lighting is concerned. I think it needs a complete revamp, and it needs the lighting industry to help BRE to do that.
They can be limited in some ways, in that they can become a bit of a tick box exercise where you're just looking to achieve certain targets in the design and from day one, and then they tend to get left behind after that. There's not enough sort of feedback going back and looking at how the building's actually performing, but I certainly see them adding value to the process.
I think on day one, the energy efficiency, we've got our targets to hit, but at the end of the day, once that building's up and running, it could be, who knows what's going to be happening. I mean, we need to design the scheme so they're as efficient as possible, so when they are up and running, then it's as close to that sort of initial calculations and testing to start with. But it's a difficult one. There maybe needs to be a further series of tests, a year or two down the line, for example, to really see what the building's doing over that period of time.
I think there's a lot of evidence to show there are big performance gaps between EPCs and then when you measure the actual operation. There's a number of reasons for that. Probably one of the main ones is the lack of training of the systems when it's handed over, the lack of commissioning, and really making the operational staff understand how to operate a building.
You can do a certificate at the beginning of the project of the intention of what it's going to be, but then for whatever reason it's not commissioned properly, it's not handed over properly, or it's run differently, the FM team have a different perception. So you find that once you get into occupation, what you're actually doing and against what you thought you were doing can be different. Yeah.
We need to think about the bigger process really of you know, how the environment works for the end users, and the whole life cycle cost of the lighting installation.
We need to focus on lighting for people. And there are a lot of things that are helping us in doing that now. A lot of the regulatory changes that have been made recently are pushing us in that direction. The BCO guide that's just about to be launched is a big step and help communicate that message both to technical and non-technical people. And I think the lighting community need to concentrate on talking outside of their own narrow community to try and tell the story of what the contribution that lighting can make.